Hello there everybody and welcome! In this video I got 10 tips and tricks to get started with Heretics Fork. This list is compiled to make the entrance into the game easier and give you a couple of ideas what you can do to get some more progress on your way down to hell. So I want to get started while I'm just playing casually alongside, and let's get started with the very first thing. Specialize yourself. In this game, it's really no good to go for many different turrets. Most of the time, I actually only play two, maximum three types of different turrets. But when you're just starting out, absolutely bind yourself to one or two turrets most. This is powerful because in this game, upgrading turrets makes them a lot stronger, and getting a better quality together is a lot easier when you only have a low amount of different tower types. So, number 2 on my list, the sacrificing system. So, in case you didn't know yet, with this game you can always put two things together and upgrade them into something new. This system allows you to get yourself exactly the stuff that you need. The most important part there is, this means that there are no useless cards in this book. Because if you can't use the card because it's buffing up the wrong kind of thing, you will still have the opportunity to use it later as a sacrificing fusion material. Which brings me right next to number 3, card keeping. So while you cannot store cards in here, when you have fused a card like I did here and you end your turn, check it out. It's still there. So this is sort of a hidden mechanic that you can use to get yourself an extra card on your hand indefinitely. Just keep in mind that while you have a card here stored, you cannot fuse a new one. So it kind of like blocks your system. Also, as a last word, whenever your deck falls below 13 cards, you get filled new ones into your deck. Rocks. They cost nothing, they only boost up your turrets by a little bit, and they are mostly used as fusing material, at least in my book. But you can also use them to upgrade your system accordingly. So, which brings me up to number 4. I want to talk about turret cards. So as you see here, the Judgment Tower and the Guns of God Garrison that I played, they are still in my deck. One of the best things to draft is a green version of that tower that you want to specialize yourself into. That's simply because the gray and the green version of a tower, these cards, you can use them as often as you want. Whereas if a turret card goes blue or higher rarity, they are one-time use only. That means you cannot really upgrade your turrets well with that. In my experience, a green copy of the turret that I want to specialize myself into is kind of like a standard treat, because it allows you to upgrade your turrets accordingly. So, number 5, I want to talk about Garrisons in the early game. So Garrisons are basically a different type of damage dealing. Instead of having a turret fire at your enemies, you have little critters running around and doing the job for you. The thing here is just quite simple. Before you have unlocked a couple of cards via the promotion system, the Garrison system is really, really, really weak. So in a nutshell, I'd be recommending you to just play the game with turrets early on if you want to have some successes. And once you have unlocked enough cards via the promotion system to get some serious Garrison gameplay going, it is a lot easier. I tried many times to win with Garrison alone. Before I unlocked some cards, I found it insanely difficult beyond any reason compared to how easy it is to win early on with turrets. So, which brings me up to number 6, quality. Quality matters so much in this game. The color of your tower, the color of your buff, whatever it is, you should always aim for the highest quality that you can currently draft. Towers, as you see here, multiply their damage with quality. That makes it so important to have them on the highest possible level. But also these buffs, their efficiency grows massively by having an upgraded version. This means wherever you can, quality matters in this game. That means once you have enough copies of the same green buff, you might actually want to consider to use that thing somewhere else and by fusing it and hope to get a blue version of it, because you don't need 3 versions of the green one. This rule is not generally applicable because some effects are better than others, but you should always keep in mind quality matters, especially when it comes down to your turrets. They rack up so much more damage by being upgraded, it's insane. Number 7, I want to talk about damage types. So in this game, every turret does deal a different type of damage. First off, don't worry, enemies don't have any specific resistances against certain damage types that I would know of. So you don't need to be worried about that, because you will be able to, well, deal with whatever enemy. But what really does make a difference is the types of damage that you have in your deck. It is a lot easier to boost up the damage if you roll with just one damage type exclusively. When you're starting out with the game, that's pretty hard because you don't have that many turrets available. The variety is really low early on, but the longer you play this, the better it'll become. And at the beginning of the game, there's absolutely no shame to use only one type of turret, so you can use the according damage upgrades, so your actives get stronger and whatnot. Which brings me to the next point, number 8. I want to talk about the characters in this game. You're starting out with the intern Ruby, which is a character that has no distinct skills whatsoever. Because of that, she's actually the hardest character to beat the game with. All the other characters in the game have some sort of skill going on for themselves, and it's actually a lot easier to win the game with these. So if you find the game very hard to beat, I strongly recommend you to check out the characters that you see, unlock the one that you find the most pleasing, and then try to beat the game first with a different character. That helped me a lot, because as a matter of fact, Ruby is, like I said, really weak because she's lacking any distinct skills. So she's actually a much more weaker version of everybody else. So if you want to power game it, the ideal course of action, I think, would be to unlock a character that you like and then invest your money heavily into the promotion system, but that's just a side thought. So, number 9, I want to talk about deck building and things that you should know of. So, a couple of things I already mentioned, but as you see, sometimes you get to draft a card into your deck, and these things I want to talk about for a hot minute. So, it's quite simple. You should always try to pick up fusion material, because there is no useless card in Heretics Fork. Every card is good for something, and if you fill your deck with a green card that you want to fuse with something, it saves you from the rock that will get tossed into your deck even if you don't want to. And green cards meant for fusing are totally worth it, because you can always try to get something better out of that. Here are a couple of thoughts though on the side. You should always only draft blue cards that you only mean for fusing if you know that you have enough counterparts available. You want a deck that gives you your bonuses for your turrets reliably. Every piece that you put into your deck for fusing's sake should be used quickly. If you now put purple and blue cards in there, like this triple tap here for example, that you don't really use too often, you will draw more and more cards that don't really serve a distinct use. So, in a nutshell, drafting green cards that you don't need at all in your deck is not really a risk, actually never, because you will always make something better out of it. But if the rarity is above green, you should be taking that with some thought, because you could end up with a hand full of cards that you can't play, and that is never a really good thing. So, number 10, I want to have a quick word about active skills. Active skills in this game are amazing. They don't cost much, they have a lot of impact, and I really love using them. So all in all, when you see a skill that seems to your liking, go for it. They get activated, you can right click them for auto use, and most of the time they're totally worth your time and your effort because they're really, really powerful. You even can draft items which make them stronger, so there is also upgrade potential in that, but my personal impression was active skills are practically always worth the deal, especially since they tend to cost only a low amount of energy to be activated. I find that also very appealing because that means you can get them into motion quite quickly, like here, Blessings of Protection, only 1 point of energy. That's really, really cheap, and you will gain a skill that'll heal you up constantly. I find that a very, very appealing deal, and with stuff like Invigoron, you have easily upgraded that into something more powerful. Alright, there's of course way more to say about the game. I hope that this little introduction here will help you racking in your first victories. And yeah, let me know in the comment section what you think, what I might have missed out, what you consider a vital beginner's tip. So I'm really all ears. I'm very eager to hear from you folks. That being said, drop me a like or a subscribe. I'd be really, really appreciating that. And while we're at it, down there in the description box, you will find links to Patreon, PayPal, and Buy Me a Coffee. These are the best ways to support this channel if you feel like it, because there's almost no fees being deducted from your donation. That being said, thanks for watching this video so much. I hope you had a great time. If you want to, there's also a link to my Discord server where you can hang out with me and the community, and I'd be very, very happy to meet you as well. So, have a wonderful day, and see you soon.